welcome to my diary, an unedited, truthful account of my thoughts on life and living in my tiny little bus, the Prancing Pony. Thank you so much to my patrons for making content like this possible. I couldn't do it without you. Wow. The amount of life that has passed in a short week or so really blows my mind. I think that's one of the things that has stood out to me most about living this lifestyle is that a lot of life happens very quickly, or at least in the last month or so of my experience. And that's not a bad thing. There are cycles and periods of my life in the past where it's just many things in a short period of time. To sort of put it briefly, so we had to leave the mountains in Southern California due to the closure of the forests because of fires. So we had to run. Then I wound up in Sequoia National Park because even though the forests were closed, the park was still open. We were there when the lightning storm struck and caused multiple fires in the ancient sequoia groves. So we had to run again from the fires. We made it. I had mentioned in my previous entry, we made it to my friend's property in the Central Valley in California. We were there for less than a week when the air quality from nearby fires got so bad. I have never seen the sky look like this before. So the air quality index scale, the AQI, it only goes to 500. The air quality where we were at the time was in the 450s. It almost broke the scale. It was midday and the sun was red and the sky was orange and brown with these cycloning clouds of giant black birds just drifting in these horrible currents in the sky. It just blew my mind. The wind shifted just so that all of the smoke from fires were just brought into the valley, and it was toxic and awful, and our poor cats were rubbing their eyes. We thought we had finally made it. We maybe didn't have to pack up and run from the fires for a third time, but we did. We didn't want to leave, but I think we made the best decision that we could for our health and our cat's health. In the 450s, that still blows my mind. Yeah. And we had to run with no plan. All of this deciding to leave and packing up and leaving. Oh, hi, Mr. Mary. Oh, my little tiger boy is sunbathing on the dashboard, grooming himself, rolling all over like a happy little boy he is. But yeah, all of this decision making and everything, and by the time we left, it all happened within like an hour. It was so fast, and I was like, well, where can we go? The forests are still closed, so all of our beloved free wilderness nature steeped camping is not available. So basically I took a map and I went pretty much in a straight line west to the ocean. And I was like, if we can get to the ocean, we should be okay. And I double checked the air quality. So we were leaving, I think it was 4:52, and where we were heading, it was like 16. I was like, great. The air quality is great over there. I don't know where we can go. We ended up finding some road pull-offs. There's like a not super major highway, but it's like a 1 lane each way highway size. So it's not like a crazy road, but, and we ended up finding some pull-offs, and we have been hiding. Gosh, we left on a Friday. We didn't arrive until after dark, which we never like to do. We only like to really drive the bus, especially in the daytime. You know, it's just a big vehicle, and especially if we're going to be parking somewhere, we like to be extra super aware of all surroundings and the whole yada yada. But because the leaving was so unexpected, certain rules have to be bent and broken. And it was so foggy when we arrived. We had no idea what it looked like around the area. We just knew we could be where we were and it would be safe. And we had put enough distance between ourselves and the pollution and the fire and everything, where we'd be okay. We'd be able to gather ourselves and our thoughts a little bit better once we had had some food and a good night's sleep, because all that mattered was just getting ourselves and our cats and our home to safety. Well, the next morning, to our complete surprise, we had nestled our bus in the rolling hills just a few miles from the Pacific Ocean. The view is mind-boggling to me. It's just these golden hills where the cows wander onto the different hilltops, grazing throughout the day. I love watching the cows. And there's so much green here. Just clusters of different plant life and trees, and we're overlooking this beautiful, stunning bay with an island that just juts out of the water like this force. And it's so stunning. The coastal view and the horizon out into the sea is just, I've never seen a place like this before. And if I want to go down to the actual water, we're not that far from the Pacific Coast Highway. We're like a 5-minute drive from the PCH, from the one, with beach parks and all of that kind of stuff, which fortunately have trash disposal and free water, so we can get everything we need. It's a short drive away. We're a little removed from like larger pockets of civilization, but we're accessible enough. It's honestly more convenient than what we're used to. So you're not supposed to camp in road pull-offs, but we're kind of dispersed from an emergency situation, and we want to go back to the property. You know, we want to be able to help our friend look over it, keep an eye on the house, and, you know, just make sure everything works and functions and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I want to help, especially, you know, I want to be there. I want to be there for my friend. And like, they are so gracious and so kind. They're like, here, let me set up my mini split, and then you can just like be in luxury. Come in and set up your projector. They're musicians, so they get it. They're like, oh my gosh, I have this keyboard. Let me set it up for you, and you guys can just jam on my sound system and use my fridge, use my stove. You know, the well on the land is like so abundant. It's incredible. And then, you know, while they're there maintaining the land, being able to help and all of that stuff. So we don't want to go far. I mean, you know, we do live in a bus. We could just, I don't know, head north, head south, head anywhere. But because we want to be able to go back at least for just a little bit, I don't know if we're going to be able to. And also, the bus is expensive to drive long distances. That's part of the benefits of moving at a really slow pace, is that we spend a lot less money on gas. So, we have been hopping around the different road pull-offs off of the highway, just so we're not like overstaying anywhere. We're actually in a beautiful, beautiful spot where we're next to some greenery, and my heart is so full. We had a full moon recently, and just staying out with a cup of tea, with the blanket spread out, watching the moon rise. I'm telling you, if you have never set up to like watch a moonrise, you're missing out. It's unreal. It usually takes me a couple of days whenever something new happens to kind of have a sense of feeling settled. So I'm happy to report that my body and my mind have kind of settled down from having to be on the run again and just really being grounded in where I am. Oh, also, we have internet for the first time in over a month. Over a month! I love the service that our internet company provides. I think it's awesome, but it has been so difficult because they don't have a phone number for their customer service. It's all like online live chat and email, which you need the internet to use. So if you don't have internet, trying to get in touch with the people that can fix your internet, it's just been so much. And our phone bill for data usage this month is bananas because, well, we were in a pickle. We didn't have a choice. But I was able to like work for the first time in way too long. And gosh, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but for my job, so to speak, other than being a voice actor, where my tiny little bus here, we insulated it with a really spectacular type of insulation. So essentially it's a traveling sound booth, which is wonderful. So I do freelance voice acting work. And then my like regular job is singing, which is kind of bananas. I admittedly never thought that would be a thing. I put on concerts live singing on Twitch, and I chat and drink tea. We have a tea party, and I sing songs, and I do live looping and all of this other stuff. So it's like, yes, I treat it as my job and I take it seriously, but it's also really rewarding, and just the people you get to meet and chat with, and it's all just sort of like feel good community, and the other musicians on the platform are just gems. I've met so many spectacular human beings through this platform, and I had not been able to stream in so long. So that also means I wasn't really able to make any money for so long, for about 6 weeks, I think. So that was stressful in and of itself. So I finally got to do my first stream. I've already done 2, but I got to do my first stream a few days ago, and I just cried for the first 10 minutes because it felt so good to be back, and I'm just so grateful to connect with people. And because, it felt at the same time the insanely beautiful, stunning community of people I was cut off from. I guess that's the thing when you work on the internet, is the community means so much. Like, it really means so much. So when I hit that go live button, I had my ukulele in hand, and old friends just started popping in, saying hello. I just couldn't contain myself, and I was just a weepy, grateful mess of a human, and I regret nothing. It feels really, really good to be back. So that's where I am right now. Keeping an eye on air quality, monitoring the fires, seeing if there would be a window where we could go back, if we should just ditch that plan and reschedule to come back in the winter after fire season. There's maybe even potential for a larger trip that I won't say anything about now until it's more finalized. But yeah, just kind of, I am where I am, and I don't know where I'm gonna be. I just have to keep an eye on things. Hopefully the weather and the wind cooperate, and just the incredible work of the firefighters. They're able to do their jobs. It's really scary. I don't love fire season. See, this is something that when I lived in Los Angeles, I was really looking forward to with the bus, because I'd have to pack up my car, hopefully with all of my important documents and everything. Well, good for me. Like anywhere from 2 to 5 times every year for potential evacuations. And there were some times where we did evacuate. And I was like, gosh, I just can't wait until all my stuff is in a bus, and my cats and everything they need, and then I can just drive. And I mean, that's what I've done. So, definitely grateful for that. But being kind of tousled about in and out of emergency mode, it's just very tiring. It's very tiring having to run from the fires 3 times now in the last 2 weeks. Maybe, has it been 3 weeks? It's just so much life in a short amount of time. Although, as of yesterday, maybe, the forests in some places in California, places where we want to be, have opened back up. So if it does turn out that going back to the property is like not really a thing that is feasible for now, we at least can hide in some of the forests until, I don't know, 6 weeks from now, when snow potential becomes a thing to think about. So yeah, I'm just very fortunate that I feel more grounded again and have been very gentle with myself. I feel like being gentle with yourself and giving yourself what your body needs, being sensitive to how you're feeling and all of that stuff, goes against basically everything I was brought up to do. And it's been very challenging to, first of all, even truly acknowledge that that's a thing that's possible, and second of all, to actually be able to implement it. I was a part of multiple industries, lifestyles, academia, that is all just ruled by hustle culture, which it's glorified ignoring your body's needs for the sake of the hustle, the sake of a career or a passion or something like that. And it is just not good. Being addicted to working is a real thing. I was doing it. I now know because I've gone through my recovery. So, yeah. What are the words I'm trying to think of? Sorry, I got a text message because the pharmacy has been, for some reason, they're like, oh, you don't exist in our system. And I was like, I've been filling my prescriptions with you for 10 years. What do you mean I don't exist? But I guess they just fixed it. So my brain got sidetracked for a second. But, yeah. Ignoring your body's needs for the sake of the hustle is like so normalized. And it is really, really unhealthy. It's not good. You know, from being in music, in a more like classical music sort of world. Like, I had a roommate that would wake up to start practicing by 8 a.m. so they could get 3 hours of playing in before they had their lesson. And then every waking moment was spent practicing. And it's like this badge of honor, this trophy. Oh, I practiced for 8 hours yesterday. I practiced for 12 hours yesterday, etc., etc. And it kind of becomes this thing of pride. Just how much have I neglected myself for my art, for my dreams, for my career, for my education? How much have I neglected my own needs today? Yeah. And now it seems bonkers to me, but it's so normal. It's so normal. Yeah, being in music, being in entertainment in general, that's a huge thing. Oh, I haven't eaten because I've been to this many auditions today. And like, go after your dreams full force. Have at it. But like, please prioritize eating and sleep. And if your body needs a break, your body needs a break. Plain and simple. That's, burnout is a big thing that creatives talk about, and in other industries as well, outside of just creative ones. Burnout is a big thing. Because we just neglect ourselves. It's freaking awful. And I did it for a long time. Yes, this is what I was going to say. I now know, after going through recovery for my PTSD, I used work and hard work as a way to not feel and not deal with traumas in my life. It's kind of like people do the same thing with substances, alcohol, all sorts of stuff, to sort of numb out in a way, to avoid, to push down, push aside, not deal with. I did it with work. I constantly, purposefully kept myself busy, so I thought that I didn't really have to deal with a lot of what I've been through. It would always come back to me. I had night terrors for as long as I could remember, and I never slept well, and I always woke up in a panic and in a sweat, and I didn't know why I had night terrors. I now know my body and my mind blocked out a lot of really severe things that I went through, but my body and brain remembered it somewhere, and it would come out in dreams. And I lived in a world where people aren't valued for who they are. They're valued for what they've accomplished. That's probably a portion of the Western society, being valued for what you've done as opposed to your value as a human being. Ooh. I think being kind is something to be treasured and certainly loved for and worthy of appreciation and value more than whether or not you got this record deal, won this award, got that degree. But that's just not the world that I grew up in. And again, now that I went through so much recovery, thinking about it, I'm like, wow, that is so backwards. Yeah. Because I think I'm valuable as a person and have inherent value regardless of whatever I've accomplished. Not that accomplishments don't deserve attention or gratitude or acknowledgement or celebration. Of course they do. But to have the vast majority of how other people deem you worthy, to put all the weight on accomplishment rather than character, is just, it's a little backwards. Oh, I've been talking for a long time. I should probably wrap up. But thanks for being such a good listener. I really appreciate it. And I have no idea where I'll be. But I can tell you, I will still be drinking tea and still taking life as it comes.